Okay, in this video we're going to be discussing tips and tricks for how to use and properly orient your Bimini top off of the Smokercraft pontoon arch. So when we receive this system, you should notice that there'll be 3 mounting points pre-mounted onto the frame or onto the arch itself. There'll be your main mount that's actually on this rail. There's another mount here on the inside of the arch, which is actually our storage point. And then down on the fiberglass towards the rear, we've got a 3rd point, which is used to support the rear strut. So when the framework is coming onto the boat, the most important thing is to attach these main mount points first, which are the ones with the thumb screws that are on the rail. And when you're putting this onto the frame, you want to make sure that you're orienting these small storage legs towards the front of the boat. You can leave them clipped into position on the bow itself. You just simply secure these on both sides, and then you let the entire thing rest towards the back, engaging these down into the bottom. And then you've really, at that point, got your framework set and ready to start receiving canvas. So before we start putting canvas on the system, though, we want to make sure that we take this adjustable point that's on these rear stanchions, and we want to do it to where we don't have any tension on the fabric as we're adding it. So we hit the push button and we just elevate that rear point. So in doing that, it should raise the entire system. We say that we're going to raise the framework, but that means we're actually putting the push pin into the bottom hole on the frame. And once we've got it raised and we start getting ready to put the fabric on, we're really just going to go ahead and open the framework up. Now on this particular one, with the type of jaw slides that are used, it should be able to hold itself into position, but we basically just lay the bows forward, and then we go ahead and stretch our canvas out, and we just start feeding it over the bows. So on the back, you should find a single snap along with your tags. This basically indicates the portion that's going to go towards the rear of the boat. So we start by just putting that over and feeding it towards the back. And we're going to take that singular snap and snap it onto the framework for the one snap that's on the rear bow of the frame. And then we can come outboard on one side and just start zipping our bow pocket. Start at the outside, zip it towards the middle, and then we can come to the other side and do the exact same operation, zipping towards center. Once we have that done, we're just going to continue to feed the canvas over the top of the bows towards the front of the boat. And this is where we have a series of segmented bow pockets. And we'll just take the center one and feed it over. And again, we just start connecting zippers. Should be pretty straightforward at this point, but you just start on center and start working your way out to the outside and just zip each one individually until we have one side connected. And then we can jump to the opposite side and just continue attaching the rest of the zippers. At that point, now we have the fabric secured to the rear bow. We have the fabric secured to the arch itself. And then we can very simply just start elevating and securing our middle bows into the center bow pockets. And that completes the process of putting the fabric onto the bows. Once we have that portion done and everything is fully attached onto the framework, we just draw the tension down onto the fabric itself, and we're going to go back to these rear stanchions, and now we're going to push the pull pin, or we're going to hit the push pin, and you're going to grab right above that jaw slide where everything connects. That's the best spot to add pressure for this, so you just simply depress and pull, and it draws down. You do one side, then you do the other side, and at that point you now have a fully deployed Bimini top, and you should be ready for boating. Okay, so now with the framework folded all the way back, we went ahead and just unzipped everything from the main bow, or from the arch itself, and then we just kind of folded everything back and we went ahead and applied the boot. At this point, for storage purposes, it's ready to have the entire thing transition forward. So with the boot in place, we start with one side, and it's actually easier to start with the port side on this particular model with the lounger, but you're basically just going to disconnect the quick release mount from the deck, and then you're going to, with the push pin, fully collapse the entire stanchion and then click it against the main bow. And then on the other side, you're going to just transition all the way down and then release. And at that point, you can start swinging the entire assembly forward. Now, you don't have to really worry about this falling through, but we do want to keep this system secure and keep it off of the arch itself. So that's where these small little storage legs come into play. You disconnect these, you just swing them forward, and those will lock into those mounts that are on the inside of the arch. You just start with one side, and then you move over to the other side. And at that point, you now have a fully stored Bimini, everything transitioned up to the arch, but not touching the arch because we don't want any metal on metal contact, but everything stays secure and supported at this point. So for a standard deployment, once we're in this stored position, now we want to get the entire thing back out. So this is a consumer function, just any given day using the boat. So we're going to start again on one side, and I typically start on the port side, but we'll just disconnect one of those mounts, click the storage leg up into the bow, and then we'll move to the other side. Now before doing that, what I'll do is I'll take the one side and I'll actually deploy this all the way out to its longest possible position, which means that that push pin is going to be in the very bottom hole, okay? And that just kind of preps me for when I start rolling the entire system backwards. So now here, supporting the Bimini, I'll go ahead and release that last mount against the arch, and then I'll start swinging the entire system towards the rear and drop this straight into that mount that's down on the deck. Now at this point, again, we're utilizing that lowermost hole, which gives it the most elevated position. We move to the second side, and here again, we're dropping all the way down, bypassing the one hole and going all the way to the bottom one, and then clicking that into the mount. So now we're ready to remove the boot, and we can start pulling all of the bows and all the canvas forward. So just transitioning everything forward. Again, with the bow pocket zipped into place, this will be self-supporting, and we can very simply just go ahead, kind of like we did at the beginning of the video, just start zipping those pockets around the rear bar on the arch. Start on the center, and then you can start working out to one side. You will notice that the zippers on these sides zip from the outside in, and we just go through, and after we have the center done, we zip the two bow pockets on port and starboard. Once we have one side, we move to the second side, completing all zippers. And then once we have the last bow pocket complete, we're at that point ready to go ahead and just draw the tension down onto the top. So for this operation, it doesn't really matter which side you do first, but you're going to come to one of the two sides, and here again, depressing the push pin and applying pressure right at the jaw slide where the stanchion meets the bow. Here, we're just drawing down to slide into that secondary hole, come to the second side, repeat the operation, and now we have the tension drawn on the top, and we have a fully deployed Bimini.